Don't stop me if you've heard this before. You spend too much time looking at your phones. Smartphones are killing a generation. Screen technology is destroying civilization. Well, I'm here to tell you today much more of the same, actually, but with a different premise. Smartphones are killing curiosity, is what's happening today. Now, I'm not someone who doesn't like technology. In fact, I love it. I teach with it. You heard them say that I'm a professor of video production and television history and filmmaking. In fact, just last week, I was sitting watching the World Series on my television set with football on picture in picture. I had my tablet going where I was watching a TV show. I was typing emails on a computer and sending text messages. So yes, I had 5 screens going simultaneously. I love screens, and I didn't want to miss a thing. But here's what I miss. Here's what we miss when this happens. The curiosity, the inquisitiveness, the jumping down the rabbit hole. That curiosity allows us, and that smartphones and other new technologies have now squashed. I'll give you guys an example. When I was in high school, in 1993, I remember this was, my brother had come home for college break for a weekend, and he and I and a bunch of friends went to see a new movie that had just hit the theaters called Dazed and Confused. So we go to see this movie, and I heard a song that I had never heard before, and it totally gripped me.
All right, all right, all right. Hey man, you still driving into Houston in the morning to get those Aerosmith tickets?
Oh, you damn right. Evening, ladies.
Oh, nice.
You need me to pick you up a couple?
Yeah, 2.
Cool.
Hey man, you sure I'm okay in here?
Oh yeah, man, you'll be okay. Look, if anyone starts messing with you, just play it cool.
Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. 3 bodies lying there, this petty scene. And another man named
I had never heard this song before. And in 1993, I had to do what you had to do during those times when you wanted to learn about that song, which was sit in the movie theater till after the credits rolled, while you got to see where that song came from. So while my brother and his friends made fun of me for sitting in my seat afterwards, they went out into the lobby, I sat there waiting to see who sang that song. I knew it sounded like Bob Dylan. And the credits read Bob Dylan Hurricane. So this is pre-internet. I go home that night. I ask my dad, do you know this song Hurricane? Have you ever heard of this? My dad proceeded to tell me the story of Reuben Carter, a boxer from New Jersey, where we were from, who had been arrested and spent almost 20 years in prison for a triple murder he did not commit. I had to get the song. This is pre-internet. How do you get a song? You have to go to the record store. You go to the record store and hope they have the CD Desire on which Hurricane is found. Of course, the first record store didn't have it, so I had to go somewhere else, a second record store, to find the CD. I found it, paid the $17 for the CD, got the song finally, listened to it over and over again. Then I learned that Reuben Carter had written an autobiography while he was in prison. And this was my summer reading before I went to college, reading Carter's memoir. None of this would have been possible if I just Googled it, if I just Shazammed it or Wikipedia'd it and found out in 5 seconds, oh, that's a Bob Dylan song. I would have moved on to the next song, the next thing in my life. But now I was invested. Now I was on a journey from the movie theater to my home, to the record store, to the library, to my basement where I was reading that book all summer. I'll give you guys another example of this curiosity. This happened around the same time. I was discovering classic rock music for the first time. And any of us who've discovered music realize when you hear a song like that for the first time, you think you almost wrote it because it means so much to you. And I heard this one powerful chorus, and it put me down the rabbit hole once again. whiter shade of pale by Procol Harum. So I hear that chorus as the miller told his tale, and my curiosity was piqued. Again, folks, this is mid-1990s. This is pre-Google. This is pre-Shazam. You couldn't hold up your phone and find out what that song was. I wanted to know who the miller was, and what was this tale of which he was speaking. So I talked to people again. I talked to my parents. I talked to my brother. I eventually made my way to my English teacher, who told me, hey, the Miller's Tale comes from Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. We're reading it right now in class. So we weren't reading the Miller's Tale. So I went on my own journey to read it, and I realized why we didn't read it in class. If you've read the Miller's Tale, you know this is a story replete with alcohol, sex, and flatulence. As a 16-year-old boy, I'm thinking, this is everything. I love this. Well, come to think of it, even now as a 40-year-old, any story that has drinking, farting, and sex, you've got my attention. None of this would have happened if I had just gone to a quick Google or Wikipedia search. But instead, now I was invested. I was invested in learning more about this particular song. Because I read the story, I talked to people about it, and I allowed myself to just fall into this. So what are the implications when we don't allow ourselves to be socially curious? What are the consequences when we are those people who sit around a dinner table and someone has a question and says, hey, who won the 2000 World Series in Major League Baseball? Or who is the actor who was in that movie with that girl who did that other thing? And then there's somebody who always whips out their phone, answers that question right for us, and then the conversation changes. Let's instead try and change that paradigm. Let's put those phones away. Talk to the person next to you. Ask them those kinds of questions. The movie Dazed and Confused ends with Matthew McConaughey's character and his three friends driving to Houston to pick up tickets for an Aerosmith concert. Notice the movie doesn't end with them at the concert. It's the journey, not the destination. And coincidentally, that cheesy lyric, life's a journey, not a destination, comes from an Aerosmith song, which was released about a month before the movie Dazed and Confused came out. And if you don't know the answer to the question, I would be more than happy to tell you. It was the New York Yankees who won the World Series in the year 2000. Thank you.